Hello, BookTube. We are back to my library tour for 2024 and however many other years it takes us to do this. And we are at bookcase number 3. We are still in the kitchen. We're at bookcase number 3. I believe we're at shelf number 2, subsection B. So let's just see what we have. Okay, we have a duplicate. John Carter of Mars, the Edgar Rice Burroughs Barsoom stories with these great covers from these old Del Rey paperback series. These are, it's just a terrific series. We've seen a whole set already, right? I don't know where it is exactly, but we've seen a whole set. Okay, yeah, this is Lana of Gothel. Another one of these wraparound covers here. These are in really good shape. This just looks like this is just a double set of these, the Synthetic Men of Mars, with this. They're just in perfect condition. Much better condition, if I remember correctly, than the last set we saw. Here's Swords of Mars. There's John Carter. How that guy got up behind him, I don't know. There we have the full cover here. A Fighting Man of Mars, a terrific, terrific novel. We have these two warrior men of Mars fighting this monster on you're not going to be able to make it out, but a mound of skulls and discarded weapons. Mastermind of Mars, where another human from Earth comes to Barsoom. The Chessmen of Mars, with this arena combat going on there. Let's see here. Thuvia, Maid of Mars. This one's not in the best of condition. This one has been battered quite a bit. I love it. I love this book. And I actually think this might be my favorite cover. The cover for John Carter of Mars is also just really good. That is just a really good cover. But I think from this series, this is probably my favorite one. Then The Warlord of Mars. Again, not in as good a condition as these others. This one is a little more weather-beaten. Gods of Mars. This one is in perfect condition. So not quite an even set here. And I assume the next one will be Princess of Mars, since that's the only one that's... Oh, no. Okay. All right, no. This is an incomplete set. This is all of these old Del Rey John Carter books, except A Princess of Mars, the first one. I wonder why that is. These don't even need to go back where they are. They can just go right over here. These, of course, are Edgar Rice Burroughs' science fantasy stories about an Earthman named John Carter who is transported to the planet Mars, whose inhabitants call it Barsoom. And because he's from Earth, and Earth is a denser planet, when he's in the lighter gravity and the lighter atmosphere and density of Mars, he has superpowers. He can leap enormous distances. He's much stronger than it seems like he should be. And John Carter, the hero of these stories, is unusual anyway. Even if he hadn't gained superpowers on Mars, he would still be unusual because he is immortal and a little bit confused about who he is. He doesn't remember a childhood as far as he can remember going back centuries or even millennia. He has just been what he is now, a fighting man, apparently being in his mid-30s. And he goes on once Edgar Rice Burroughs lets his imagination go wild for Barsoom, and we get a wonderful fantasy world. A dying planet. Water is shrinking from all of its usual haunts. This was all vaguely inspired by the idea that there might be canals on Mars. Initial imaging of Mars, well over a century ago, made it look like maybe there were canals. It looked like there were structures that had to be man-made. And the reasoning at the time was that Mars was a dying planet and that the inhabitants were frantically canaling water from the poles to keep their planet irrigated. And that idea of Mars was rather quickly ripped apart by subsequent facts. Of course, we didn't know the full reality of it until probes started passing close to the planet and also landing on it. But it was that idea of Mars that I think inspired Edgar Rice Burroughs with this idea of a thoroughly exotic, wild, dying planet full of warring tribes and species, and it's just absolute wonderful escapist reading. It can't happen anymore. As I've mentioned a couple of times before on this channel, science fiction is vulnerable to the march of progress in ways that almost no other kind of fiction is. It's thoroughly vulnerable to our increase in knowledge. No one can. When Edgar Rice Burroughs looked up at the sky, when someone showed him the planet Mars in a telescope, he could wonder whether or not there were civilizations on that planet. And it never in a million years occurred to him that humans would ever go there. And humans haven't been there yet. but humans have sent their tools, their AI tools. And we now know that Mars is a completely barren wasteland. Once upon a time, it was not. Once upon a time, it was a lush, florid, blue ocean world. But that was a long, long time ago. Now it is freezing cold and swept constantly by waves and curtains of deadly radiation. So if there's any life left on Mars, it probably retreated deep into underground aquifers, which almost certainly do still exist, and it might be there. Germ cultures or whatnot might be there all this time. you never know. Our rovers have been there. They've taken pictures and video, but they've covered a tiny, minuscule dust speck of a fraction of the planet. But we know now enough so that no one can write a story like this without making it just fantasy or an alternate version of Mars, an alternate reality version of Mars. Same thing with Venus. Same thing with pretty much anywhere else in the solar system. You can't say anymore that there are people who live on Pluto. You can't say anymore that there are civilizations that have great shining cities on the surface of the moon Titan. You can't say that anymore. We know too much about these places, and science fiction has had to adjust accordingly. In ways that, you can find examples elsewhere in fiction, but none so pronounced as this. You can tell when a science fiction novel was written by how it portrays the facts about the planet Mars. but that doesn't lessen one single bit the enjoyability of the Barsoom novels. They are wonderful. But the next one is not a Barsoom novel. This is an old Tarzan novel, The Son of Tarzan. One of the only Tarzan novels I have with this cover art. And just because this cover art has always confused me. That is, I presume, the figure on the cover is Korak, the son of Tarzan. Only here he looks like the kid from the Blue Lagoon. I can't help but think that's not a coincidence. Here he's a bushy, curly, blonde Justin Timberlake figure. Never understood that, but I love the novel, The Son of Tarzan. I absolutely love it. I love everything about it. But I love, there's a character. The character is going to go on to become the love of Korak's life. His version of Jane from Tarzan is a character named Miriam, and she is wonderfully done. Edgar Rice Burroughs is often bashed as being a sexist writer, and he could be. He very much could be. But when he takes it into his head to write a strong female character, he does a really good job at it. You can say the same thing about Trollope, his immediate contemporary. So what is next here? Oh, okay. All right, this is a great old cover. This is Fritz Leiber. This is The Swords of Lankhmar. In these old Ace paperbacks with this particular cover art. I wonder if we're hitting a... yeah, all right, Swords Against Death. With these old covers. These are in ratty condition, but I bought them that way. I originally had this whole series with these covers in these old Ace editions, and mine are long, long gone. Long gone. These are books you reread. They are wonderful. The picaresque adventures of two seemingly ill-matched swordsmen, Farford and the Grey Mouser. One is a tall, lumbering northerner, and the other is a small, quick, agile thief-type figure. And they have adventures that are like nothing else in fantasy. They are absolutely incredible. I read my original copies of these things a million times. I don't know what actually became of them. I think I lost a whole bunch of boxes of books to a flood of the Mississippi River about 40 years ago. And I think I think most of my science fiction was in those boxes. I didn't keep an inventory. Ridiculous. I was storing boxes. I should have kept an inventory with me so that I knew what was in those boxes. But I didn't do it. I thought, oh, no need. In a few weeks, you'll have them. No, they're at the bottom of the Mississippi. But this is Swords Against Wizardry, with these terrific old covers. I must have got the whole set of them. I'm drawing a temporary blank on when that would have happened. Swords and Ice Magic. There are 2 characters. Give you an idea of what they look like. We have Swords in the Mist. These old editions here. We have another copy of the Swords of Lankmar. So we have 2 copies of this. Let's put those together. Oh, now. Okay, well, we have the Swords of Lankmar, the 5th book in the Farford and Greymouser series, and we have the Swords of Lankmar, the 5th book in the Farford and Greymouser series, but one is 3 times the size of the other. Is that just the paper? Is that just the paper cut? Maybe that is. Maybe that's just the cut of the paper. Okay. Then we have Lean Times in Lankmar. Lankmar is the fantasy world where these 2 characters have their adventures. This is from Borealis Legends. It doesn't look the same as the others. The others have Frank Frazetta covers, except for one, Swords and Ice Magic does not. But this has Mike Mignola, the great fantasy artist, the creator of Hellboy. Did a whole series of these. He did the covers, front and back, and he did illustrations, spot illustrations throughout. Which makes these, and these are also really solidly made. These paperbacks are really solidly made. And once upon a time, I had all the hardcovers. There were 4 hardcovers in this set. Mignola artwork throughout. And I had them all. And I got rid of them all. And then there were these paperbacks. And I had them all. And I got rid of them all. And you never see them. I never see them used. I found 3 of the 4 hardcovers. And just 1 of the paperbacks, and I grab them whenever I can to find a full set. Okay, then we have a later novel. This is The Knight and Knave of Swords. Fans howled a little at that realization of our characters. I agree, that seems really weird. And this has one of these folding covers here. All right, so Farford and Greymouser. All right. Oh, no. All right, well, we move on. We move on to Hyboria. We move on to Conan the Buccaneer. Battered old mass market paperback. Although I stress, once again, I had all these mass market paperbacks and I read them to pieces. These are the Elsbreg de Camp elaborations and adaptations, and some would say desecrations of the original Robert E. Howard stories. I read these things to pieces when I had them originally. But these are not my original paperbacks. Someone read this thing very nearly to pieces. These hold up really well. I could get 4 reads of Conan the Buccaneer out of this. But you notice this one is a later print because it doesn't have anything. It doesn't have any artwork on the back. It has the folderol on the back. Whereas, didn't we encounter some Conan stuff? Didn't we just recently? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, we encountered some Conan stuff. Oh, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. So here is Conan the Buccaneer. There we go. And the cover art is just reprinted without any header on the back. So that's a double, right? So that belongs together. Okay. And over here we have 2 copies of Conan the Warrior. So we'll put those with Conan the Buccaneer. All right. Then we have Conan the Avenger. These classic covers, I swear. And I mean, it would be too much for me to think. It's easily possible. It'd be too much to think that these also were in those boxes that were drowned in the Mississippi. It could be that there are treasures like that at the bottom of the Mississippi. This, again, has no artwork on the back. Then we have Conan the Warrior. Oh, no, this is copy number 3 of Conan the Warrior. Very different from the other 2. It has all the folderol on the back and only an image on a framed part on the front. We have Conan the Freebooter with a Boris Vallejo cover. We have Conan of the Isles with just a detail of the cover and lots of artwork, writing on the back. And here's another copy of Conan of the Isles. Okay, so we put those together. Let's see here. Conan the Conqueror. So this is turning into a Michael K. Vaughan type shelf. We have Edgar Rice Burroughs, we have Farford and Greymouser, now we have Conan. Conan the Conqueror here. We have another copy of Conan of Aquilonia. This is in pretty rough shape, and isn't it? Yeah, this is the one that somebody put a covering over there so that it's not in pretty rough shape. So there's 2 of those. All right, we're making progress here. This is good. This is very good. So I have only Conan pastiche novels left. Conan the Swordsman, Conan the Liberator, Conan and the Sword of Skelos, Conan and the Road of Kings, Conan and the Spider God, and 2 copies of Conan the Rebel. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. Okay, Conan the Warrior again. So now I have 4 copies. Oh no, 3 copies of Conan the Warrior. No, 4 copies of Conan the Warrior. Okay, that's not good. That's really not good, and that's totally unnecessary. Okay, let's hope there's no more Conan the Warrior. Conan the Usurper, absolutely amazing Frazetta cover there, just an amazing one. We haven't seen Conan the Usurper yet, I don't think. That's good. But just Conan. This is L. Sprague de Camp and Lynn Carter just doing Conan. Not the same thing as this thing, which we saw, Conan the Barbarian. Although this thing has, Conan the Barbarian was an anthology that was made for the movie that did not take off. And this has the Phoenix on the Sword, the People of the Black Circle, the Tower of the Elephant, Queen of the Black Coast, Red Nails, and Rogues in the House. Which I think is a lineup that would very much meet with Michael K. Vaughan's approval, except Beyond the Black River isn't there. But otherwise, I think he would really approve of that. Whereas Conan, the book with L. Sprague de Camp and Lynn Carter, has The Thing in the Crypt, The Tower of the Elephant, The Hall of the Dead, The God in the Bowl, Rogues in the House, Hand of Nergal, and Chains of Shambhala. And a lot of those things, rather ominously, have shared writing credits, Howard and de Camp. Okay, then we have Andrew Offutt. This is Conan and the Sorcerer. I have had this thing in a special edition hardcover. I've had it in a trade paperback. I have it as a mass market. I have it as an ebook. And this is one of those from the period where these mass market paperbacks were all illustrated by this same guy. This same person did all these illustrations. We saw his illustrations for some of the Dorsai novels. I wonder if these things give this person's name. Look at that. But I swear, that added something. It'd be prohibitively expensive to do it now. But it added something to these things. The illustrations are by someone named Maroto. And Maroto, he, she, or it, did the illustrations for a lot of books at this time. Okay, and then Conan and the Treasure of Tranikos. With Robert E. Howard as the author. There's a huge provenance to this book, to this particular story. A huge provenance. Way beyond the scope of a single video here. What's next here? Oh, okay. Okay, great. We have The Blade of Conan. There were 3 of these that were done. These are from an old fanzine of Conan, articles taken from an old fanzine of Conan. So these are not... There are short stories in here. I think there are a couple of actual stories in here, but there'll be a lot of other things too. There'll be a lot of considerations, histories of Conan, histories of the Hyborian Age. There's a lot of biographical studies here by all sorts of people. These are terrific. I have The Blade of Conan, and I also have The Spell of Conan. And I think there's one other. I'm not sure that these books will tell me what the other one is. This will be. It explains everything that we know about Crom or Mitra, everything that we know about the Picts or whatnot. This doesn't tell me what the other one is. I just keep an eye out for them. There's The Spell of Conan, The Blade of Conan, and one other. I think there was one other. Michael K. Vaughan would know for sure, but they're really, really interesting. Excuse me, they're really interesting to read. Okay. And then we have this old Bantam paperback of Kull, of King Kull, with a fold-out cover here that just barely completes the picture there of that cover poster. This is all the Kull stuff that Robert E. Howard did. Kull was Robert E. Howard's first attempt, sort of a first draft of Conan the Barbarian, only a very different kind of character. already a king, much like Conan when we meet him, but from an eon earlier than Conan, from the lost kingdom of Atlantis. Terrific stories. And certainly, if a little volume of Cull is here, that definitely cements this shelf as a Michael K. Vaughan shelf. I didn't see that coming. What's this next one? Oh, okay. I love these books, but I don't know that Michael K. Vaughan is as big a fan of them as I am. This is Chapter House Dune by Frank Herbert in this mass market that is as new as the day it was made. And then we have Heretics of Dune. And also a mass market paperback of my favorite of the Dune books, God Emperor of Dune. So these are out here. Not quite sure why. I have all of the Dune books in mass market, but did we see any of the others? Did we see Dune or Dune Messiah or Children of Dune? I don't think we did. Well, that's. I'm not going to let it overly bother me because that's the whole point of a library tour is that you are fixing things as you go. Like, for instance, a whole shelf of Conan. That would be interesting. Surely Red Sonja can join him on this shelf. But so you've got a whole shelf of Conan. Let's get these out of here. And you've got Cull. Cull can certainly be there, and so can Red Sonja. That's almost a whole shelf. And I'd be willing to bet there's Conan that we haven't found to fill that out. Although it's not a whole shelf because there are 4 copies of Conan the Warrior, which obviously is not going to stay true. But anyway, that does this shelf. Who knew it would be so MKV heavy? That does this shelf. So we are going to move on. Next time we're still doing mass market paperbacks just until the end of time. So we're not at the summit of this particular bookshelf yet. Who knows how long that will take? But I will wrap this up for now. We'll go on to the next shelf. That's shelf number 2. That's done. So we're going to shelf number 3 next time. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I will see you then. Thank you, BookTube.